Schultz just gave these kids like a real like a complete human inner life.
Jeff, thank you so much for the time. I really do appreciate this.
Absolutely. It's nice to be
Um,
here.
I'm glad you could join me. Honestly, Snoopy Presents a Summer Musical. It's so adorable. It is just so wonderful. I know you've spent a lot of time in the Peanuts world.
Mhm.
What is it that excited you with this particular film?
I mean, yes, being involved in any part of the Peanuts musical world is an unbelievable honor. It's sort of one of the most iconic, just the music of the Peanuts is so iconic and such a big part of everyone's life. But then to get the opportunity to have these kids, stand up and sing is was pretty fun. And just from a process standpoint, working on a musical, you get to be involved so much earlier in the process, because these songs get written kind of in more of the story phase. The of course the script was written and all of that. They've sort of storyboarded, but you know, we have to figure out what the songs are going to be and how they move the story along before anything can get sort of animated. So it was really cool to be involved early on that front. And we figured out sort of me and Alan and Michael wrote the first two that would sort of set up the problem of the whole thing with Best Time Ever and a place like this where the kids are going to camp, but there's not enough people showing up, and also Sally thinks she's going to hate it. Um, so me and Alan and Michael got to handle that fun bit, and then hand it over to Ben Folds to just deliver the feels with Light as Clouds and Look Up and Leave It. So yeah, it's such a fun part of the process. And then of course we record these songs with actors, and then that all goes away and gets animated. Like for me, I go away, for 6 or 8 months, and then come back and write the score for the thing after that. Yeah.
Well, I wondered about your role with this because,
Mhm.
like you said, now you're involved early in the story. Is that how it goes? Is that the songs are sort of written and the story evolves because of that, or is the
I
story?
mean, yeah, to a point. In this, it was pretty well, set up. There weren't like big changes because of the songs, but of course, um, some lyrical inspiration can come, and then it can sort of affect dialogue at different points. Uh, in terms of like my involvement in how the songs affect things, what's cool is I got to be involved in writing these songs, and then a number of months later, come back and involve the melodies in the score. So for example, the tune from Best Time Ever, I had the jazz piano trio play the saddest possible version of that when the kids find out the camp is closed. Um,
That's got to be fun to be able to
mhm.
weave those things in a different way to help
Yeah.
tell the story a little better. And
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the fun challenge of a musical is like the score. But that's the fun challenge of scoring a musical is that you find a way to be different than the songs, because you don't want to sort of set up that you want to set up that the songs are songs and the score is score, but in a way tie them together as well.
well, with that in mind too, I wanted to ask you, like, just with your experience with these characters and bringing weaving the music through them, and again making help bringing voice to them, singing
Hmm.
voices to them this time. What in your mind is the heart of Charlie Brown? What is it that we love about them so much?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that um, Schultz just gave these kids like a real like a complete human inner life. It's not nothing about the Peanuts panders to some adult thinking about what childhood is, or like, or it's not, it doesn't feel like a like an older person's perspective on what it's like to be a kid. It feels like a very real childhood inner life, if that makes sense. All of their emotions are complicated, and they can be happy, but they can be dark sometimes. Which I think is what still resonates. It's like some people, Lucy can be mean, and Linus can be intellectual, and Charlie Brown can be straight up depressed. And I think I think kids resonate with that, just real emotions. And as a composer, that's just like the best thing there is, to get to work with these stories that are it's not some sort of surface level kind of procedural thing. That we're dealing with like kids having real feelings, and I get to write music that kind of supports those feelings, which is really fun.
I think that's so amazing because you're right. I think there's an authenticity, there's just an honesty to
Hmm.
these characters that still resonates. I think I was speaking with Craig and Eric, and I said somehow
Yeah.
this film feels like it stepped out of a time machine, but is still entirely current. And
Yes.
you're
Yes.
through the music, you're bringing that to life. And were you relying on the music of the past to bring it into today?
Well, I mean, yes, insofar that I think, it's almost everyone, I'm sure, has this, is that the music of the Peanuts has been such a huge part of my life since I was a little kid. Of course, I've loved Vince Guaraldi, since I can remember, and I'm sure it had a lot to do with me getting into jazz in the first place. So
Mhm.
it's been a part of me for so long that uh, it's hard to say where the influence begins and ends. I think it's just a part of who I am musically. And it's fun to get to honor that, and sort of update it a little bit for some of the more contemporary animation style and that kind of thing. But then also, what's cool with these specials is, Snoopy has a huge imagination and ends up on these giant adventures, and um, I was given the support on these specials to book a 80-piece orchestra to bring Snoopy's fantasies to life, so um, which he needs, because they're it's pretty outlandish, the sort of things he gets into.
It's true. I mean, the buried treasure story is bigger than the camp in some ways, but
Mhm.
honestly, Jeff, it's a joy to speak with you. Thank you so much for the time. And
Yeah,
like I
thank
said,
you.
the special's great. So thank you. Have a
Oh,
great
thanks so
night.
much. Yeah, I can't wait for people to see it. It's so fun.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.